Hello and welcome to this edition of the Telescope Makers Workshop. My name is Francis O'Reilly and I'm reporting from the Custer Institute in Southold, Long Island. In today's edition, we're going to be discussing testing optical mirrors, and we'll be utilizing Custer's optical lab in the basement of the observatory, including their testing tunnel. Testing a telescope mirror is a very important element of making a telescope. The figure has to be correct. It has to be very accurately correct. There are a number of methods which this is done. The most well-known method is the Foucault test, and we'll be demonstrating a Foucault test. We will not be demonstrating other methods today. Join me and my wife Dina as we take you for a tour of the Custer Optical Shop. As you can see, there's a radio telescope. Dina is sitting in the observing chair facing the sun. Behind the radio telescope, there's a long building, and that building has a couple of roll-off roofs, and there's an observatory in there. You can also see that there's a new dome on the observatory, and yet another dome on the ground in front of it waiting to be installed. The structure in the back of the observatory are two separate observatories. The Susan F. Rose Observatory, run by a sister group, and an observatory dome, a pod observatory dome. These are also used at the related club meetings for purposes of observing. The observatory itself houses a 25-inch obsession reflector. That's a sidewalk-mounted telescope, a very large aperture. However, since it is sidewalk-mounted, not equatorially mounted, its sole purpose is for visual observing. It's really not useful at all for photography. It does, however, have a slight adaptation to it, a couple of adaptations actually, which do help it track a bit. Now the Custer testing tunnel, the Custer Foucault optical test bed is about 15 feet long. It is behind a wall, goes from one end of the wall to the other. At the far end here, we'll see in a minute, there's a testing device. In the middle, there's a mirror test stand. Now, in the mirror test stand, we have a 6-inch mirror. And this mirror test stand is adjustable. And by turning the screw in front, we can change the angle that the mirror is looked at. And the point is to have the light from the testing device hit the mirror and be reflected back to the testing device. And we do that through two things. One, we have the vertical adjustment, and then we have a tilt adjustment also. And there's a pivot in the back of this device, and this pivots. The device rides on rails going back and forth. You put a hand on the mirror so that you don't drop anything, so that you can get the device at the mirror's radius of curvature for a Foucault test at the focal length if you're doing auto-collimation, which is not what's happening today. I don't know anything about this particular mirror. It's a mirror that was here already. It appears to be fairly well polished. It's got a little clamshell in it. It's UL, can't even read it, UL22. It's a Pyrex glass. It may be an old Edmund Scientific mirror. I'm really not sure. I'll place this up in the stand. And what I'm going to do is go around back to the Foucault tester and try to line this up. And that's really the most critical element of testing a telescope mirror, is lining up the mirror with the testing device. Once that's done, everything goes smoothly. A view of the test apparatus we're using. It has a post, and the post goes down. Right here we have the knife edge. The light is contained within this little arm here, comes off the post. To the right, that's the light source. The light travels through the arm and is reflected out through a mirror. On the bottom, we have a X, Y, Z, or an X and Y stage. The X axis, the Y axis, and of course the Z axis is on the post, so that this particular arm can move in 3 axes. There's an on-off switch for the light with a fuse. A rheostat. It can be made brighter or dimmer. In order to get the alignment, I used a green laser and shined it down the tube to the mirror, and then reflected it back and made sure it reflected back to the arm. Well, we're in the Custer Observatory right now at the Custer Institute in Long Island. There's a museum here, and they have a lot of awful interesting items, grinding machines, telescopes, and the like. I'm going to take you through a little tour of the observatory now. On the first floor, we have an old grinding machine next to a model of a ship, telescope, and a variety of sundry other objects. Christmas tree, more ships. Remember, we're on Long Island. Long Island is a big nautical area. Oh, the stairway to the stars. It's a steep one. Let's go upstairs. On the second floor of the observatory, there's a library filled with many old volumes. And interestingly, Henry Fitz's grinding machine, or at least one of Henry Fitz's many grinding machines. Fitz was a 19th century optician who made telescopes. And what do we see in the middle? But hey, look at that, an ancient pitch lap. Of course, I don't think they had Gerber baby food in the 19th century. Mrs. O'Reilly has walked up the stairs and she doesn't want to be seen. Taking a look around in here, a lot of boxes, a lot of books, astronomical magazines, reference section. This is all available if you show up on a Saturday to be looked at and to be used. A second stairway leads us to a room which is locked at the moment, will be open later, that has the 25-inch obsession. The glass windows, crosses and circles in the masonry building. The Custer Institute is a wonderful resource on Long Island. If you're in the area on the North Fork of Long Island, please feel free to visit. Custer also features a large meeting room where seminars are held, meetings are held, and it's very large actually for a private club. It's a great place to have lectures. The walls are adorned with various photos, maps of the heavens, and other items from people that have visited over the years. In the corner there's a globe of Mars, and on top of a piano. Of course, ever present is another telescope. This place is full of telescopes. A model of Stonehenge rests on a table. They do sell t-shirts and books, and of course there's a donation jar, as there should be. A small gift shop that's really never open. Front door.
Yeah.
And bulletin board. Another meeting room with a nautical theme.
But she has her business going out there. She's doing tutoring now.